Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Ted Dromo, and today we're going to talk about time management, which our time, and there's so many ways to do it. But Stefan's going to actually teach us his method of time management. And it's a whole different approach. It's one of the more unique ones. That's why I invited him to be a guest today. So welcome, Stefan.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for having me on the show.
So how did you get involved with time management? What spurred you on to learn more about time management?
Yeah, really about my own situation, I must say. I've transitioned when COVID really hit. I had to transition into something new. I was a freelancer for over a decade in corporate business, and a lot of the projects stopped. So I had to find something else. So I started creating like a marketing agency, and then I tried a lot of different things. And at a certain point, you try so much that there's just not enough time to do everything decently. And yeah, you have to still do some freelancing. So you have to balance like your main thing with your side hustle. You have to balance also your life as well, because you cannot just work 7 days in a row for 12 hours a day. That's just crazy. I know that some people might do that, but it's still crazy.
It's not good for you.
Yeah, and really time management is something that speaks to me, and I've been studying it. I've been learning a lot of the tips and the tricks and tools and stuff like that. And I just developed my own way of dealing with time management. And it's based, of course, on the knowledge that's already out there. I'm not saying that I'm inventing something new, but what I can teach other business owners that are in the same situation or that just have the need for some proper time management is some principles, some really foundational things that you can implement that are simple and hard, but not really simplistic, right? It's something that you can implement and that can already have a big impact on your time management. So it's important for me because I'm still learning how to manage my time. I'm still learning new ways to do it. It's a never-ending story, honestly, because that is our biggest challenge for everybody, for every entrepreneur. We cannot make more time, so we need to make sure that we really use it the best way that we can, but that there's also balance within our time. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that we can talk about, but yeah, I'm pretty excited to be talking about this in your show as well.
Yeah, being busy is not always being productive. I used to be a network manager for a day, and there's always something to do. You never reach the end of the to-do list. So I really had to step back and manage my time and spend more time with the family. I was just one of those always working kind of guys, but I was more productive when I focused on 40 hours a week. Just go home at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more than just being busy, right? I mean, everybody can be busy.
Yeah.
But how are you using that time that you're busy? And these are some of the questions that I ask when somebody asks me to help them with time management. And the first thing that I ask is, why are you so busy, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think you're busy? What are you doing that you think you're busy? And then we go deeper, and once you uncover some of the things that they're doing, they're actually just procrastinating. They're not busy. They're finding excuses to do other stuff instead of really focusing on what they should be doing.
Right.
So then and I fell in that trap as well. Then you think that you're moving forward within your business as well, but actually you're just prolonging your own success.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good place to be. So
right. We've all been there. There's just too many things, too many distractions now.
Yeah.
Let me turn on your slides and you can share your slides with us. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, I call it time management for Titans because what I'm building right now is called Titanology. So I love the analogy of Titans. But basically, and just let me go to the next slide here because Yeah, that's me. So these are the questions that I'm asking. Like, what if you could free up 10 hours a week? And what if you could spend that time on actually building your company and get the right things done? How would it look like, right? Those are like the questions that I ask. Like, imagine that you have proper time management, and freeing up 10 hours a week seems crazy almost, but just bear with me. Some of these things that I'm going to talk about, you will quickly see that if you're not the best at time management right now, you can easily free up 10 hours.
Oh, easy. It would be great to have 10 extra hours a week.
Yeah, yeah. And these 10 hours come from the time that you're already using, because we cannot make more of it. So we have to get it from somewhere, right? Now, something that we also should not forget as business owners is that we have a team as well. And with proper time management, we need to involve our team as well so they can become more efficient. If our team becomes more efficient, we will become more efficient. And again, we will gain time back. And we want to have the freedom actually to go on the top of a mountain and enjoy the beauty of nature and not being stuck behind our laptop all the time. That is the ultimate dream that I think every entrepreneur has, the freedom.
Yeah.
And again, if you're just stuck in the day-to-day rat race and you're working so many hours because you feel there's no other option. I've met business owners that they say to me, yeah, but I want to scale, but I cannot scale because that would mean that I would have to work double the hours. And that's just not feasible. And yeah, I mean, that person was correct, but he didn't see that to scale, you don't need to work more. You need to invest in your team. You need to invest in a lot of things, and you need to free up time actually. And
it's challenging when you're starting your own business because you're marketing, you're selling, you're doing the work. You have to do your office administration, the billing. It's a lot to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when I start asking these questions. So why do you think you're so busy? Why do you think you have no time? Are you not able to delegate? Are you not able to systemize? Or are you not able to make new habits? These are the questions that you have to answer for yourself, because time management for me personally is also about self-awareness. You need to become self-aware about how you use your time so you can actually do something different, right? If you're not aware that you're just busy and you don't know why and you don't know what you're doing, then you'll never be able to change anything. This is about time, and this is about many things. Self-awareness is important. But also the ability to delegate, also the ability to systemize. You need to be able to do that. But if you're not able, you have to ask yourself why. Is it because you cannot let go, right? Are you a micromanager and you think that your team cannot handle what you're doing? I mean, for a solopreneur, it's different, of course. But even for a solopreneur, you can start looking for a VA, for example, to do some of the tasks. So there's always possibilities. And making new habits is also a big part for me for time management, because the things that we do every single day, if they become habits, we don't need to think about them anymore because they are habits. And it doesn't cost us time to figure out what we need to do.
I think one challenge people come across, they finally hire help, but they have a task. It takes maybe an hour to teach the person how to do the task, and they can do the task in 5 minutes. So they just do it. But if that assistant never learns how to do it, you'll always be stuck with those little 5-minute tasks.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? You're right. If you have that 1 hour of time, you need to realize that you need to use that time strategically. And the strategic use of that time is teaching your assistant how to do it, so you can actually free up that time for yourself.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people get stuck, indeed, for sure. And then they become overwhelmed, they become stressed, and they don't see a way how to get out of it, right? Now, some of the principles that I'm talking about to solve this, is one of the first things that I'm talking about always is about what Gary Vee always says, and that stuck with me so long. It's about macro patience and micro speed. So we as entrepreneurs, we need to learn to have the patience to know that, okay, even if we're not working 12 hours, we're still on the right path, right? Because success doesn't happen overnight. So even if you're working 24 hours a day, it's not going to speed up things because it's just not feasible physically. You cannot be productive 24 hours a day. So having the patience also makes you have more balance within your thinking and make sure that you can plan more long term and that you trust the process and that you know that even though I'm not working 80 hours a week, we're still on the right track here. I know this. So you don't need to stress about, oh, I didn't work that many hours today, I'm not going to get there. No, because it takes months, years. I mean, Ted, I think you acknowledge this as well, that it takes time to build a successful business.
Yeah.
And in these days, especially the youngsters that are entering this space, they get a lot of offers like, yeah, we're going to get you a millionaire in 3 months or whatnot. And they believe that that's the thing that they need to do. They need to become successful in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So they work like crazy. They work like every day, and that's all that they do. But after 3 months, they're burned out, and maybe they have some level of success, but it's not sustainable. After 3 months or maybe 6 months, they're just fed up with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not what they sign up for. They leave their 9-to-5 job because they hate it, and they just create another job for themselves.
Right.
So having that patience is so important. But it doesn't mean that you cannot have micro speed. And the micro speed comes from within the time that you have, you can do much more than you think if you're being strategic about how you use your time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you use your time to procrastinate and to multitask and to switch tasks all the time, well, I mean, yeah, you're busy again, but in a microscopic view, you haven't done anything. So the micro speed comes from make sure that you're doing the right tasks as much as you can in the time that you have. Even if it's 2 hours a day, you can do a lot of things in 2 hours if you're strategic about it.
I mean, I shouldn't have 30 tabs open on my browser.
Well,
you get distractions. A little pop-up pops up over here, so you go jump and see what that message is.
I mean, yeah, and I have the same problem sometimes, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of tabs open, and but that is also the thing. I mean, we are not robots, for sure. So the principles that I'm talking about is something we need to work on. If we're self-aware that we have that many tabs open and it's not helping us, then we can do something about it. Then for me, for example, if I see that, I become like, okay, what do I need to do first? I just simply close everything.
Yeah.
Just start with a clean slate. And so I can just narrow my focus again. And after some time, again, 30 tabs are open. That just happens, you know. But the self-awareness that you create with that and not stressing about it is also an important part of it.
I think it clutters my mind too. When I see all those tabs open, I feel kind of overwhelmed, like I've got to do all that work or use all these websites.
Yeah, exactly. And then where to start, where to put your focus next. And that is where you need to go back also to what were your goals for today or for this week? What was in your calendar? What do you need to work on next that really can move the needle? And then it's a good idea just to close everything, go back to the foundations and start there again.
Yeah.
But it's also a team effort, right? And even for solopreneur, your team are the people around you. So either you have a team in your business or you're a solopreneur, but you have a partner, you have family, you have kids, you have friends. Everybody is involved with time management. It's not something you need to do personally. You need to do it for yourself, for sure. But you need to take into account that whatever you set forward as time management, if you do not take into account that other people are involved with this, you're going to set up your time management to fail, because you're going to set maybe some time blocks where you're going to do, where you say, okay, this time I'm going to use for some of the tasks in my business, but your wife wants you to get the kids, for example, at that time. So if you're not thinking about that before you start implementing these things, it's going to fail. So make sure that, and now I'm talking about your partner or kids, but this is also true for your team, your employees. Make sure that everybody is aligned with the time management. Everybody should do time management, should implement the same principles. And if you align your time, then you are really able to create more efficiency within your business as well. Not only for yourself, but for your team as well. They need to know this as well. And alignment is about, and this is something that I'll show further along, but is, for example, creating hours of overlap, right? And that means that if you have a distributed team, some people like a VA is working in the Philippines, and some of your team members are in different time zones and different countries. To make it efficient, you need to be able to communicate in real time. So you need like 1 or 2 hours of overlap that everybody's working at the same time so you can communicate. That is time management. That is an important part of your business. And if you think this is not so, then I challenge you to set up a schedule where you, without even thinking about it, do you know when your employees are working at the same time that you can make it efficient? So it's a team effort, 100%. Include everybody within this. And also talk about this, communicate your schedule with them as well. Another principle that I use is the Scrum Principle. I'm not sure, Ted, if you're familiar with Scrum and Agile.
Yeah.
So I've learned this within the corporate world, where I became a certified Scrum Master, and the idea is there that you can do twice as much in half the time. That is the principle of Scrum, and it works. And this same principle is something that you can apply in your own time management. You don't need to know Scrum or Agile. It's about putting a focus in a specific time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So think about a task that you want to do, like sales calls, right? You want to do sales follow-up. Well, set a time frame, 1 hour, 2 hours in a day. That's a time frame. And you put it in your calendar. And because you say this is 2 hours or 1 hour, and after that time is done, you stop. You have to stop.
Yeah.
So you put like a deadline in that time block. And we all know that if we have to work against the deadline, at the end of the deadline, suddenly we become more productive because we have the pressure of that deadline. Now, if you create like mini deadlines in your day by time blocking, basically, but really making sure that if you reach that time, the end of the time block, you stop, then in your mind, it's like, this is a deadline, so I need to focus because I need to get this done. And it will make you more productive. And this is the same from Scrum Principle. This comes from that I've learned there. But they put a time frame of 2 weeks, for example, or 1 week. So it depends what you want to do, for sure. But if it's about day-to-day time management, I use this principle to make sure that I do not. So if I start with sales follow-up, for example, and I set a 1 hour, that I do not go over that, because if you do not stop quickly, it becomes 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, you don't even know what you have done. And
I
that's
do
when
this
people say,
Pomodoro. Have you heard that? I have a timer. You set
yeah,
up for 25 minutes.
yeah, exactly. So that is more or less the same principle, right? So, like I said, I'm not telling anything new here. I'm just using my own principles or my own words to
Right.
make it so it makes sense for me. But yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. If you want to set 25 minutes, if you want to set 45 minutes, there are discussions, or there is science about when you get into a flow.
Yeah.
It takes about, I think, 45 minutes, and you can get up to 90 minutes of really deep work if you wanted to, but you have to set that time.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you stop. Otherwise, yeah, you will not be as productive anymore. And this will also help. Implement, if you do a lot of things like marketing, sales, you have to do all the stuff yourself.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of different tasks in a day to do. By putting that in those blocks, you're able to do at least some of these things each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's also an important part. That's where the habits come into play, right? If you put the same things at the same time every day, like sales follow-up, I do that every morning from 9 till 10 for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And that's like a habit. You'll spend less time planning that, and you know that needs to happen. Now, once you have done that, once you have planned that time, then you need to become more strategic about your timing. And this is also where a lot of people go wrong. Because if you plan that time, well, what will you do in the planned time? I mean, I can spend 1 hour sales follow-up and it doesn't have any impact, you know?
Yeah.
So why? Because you just send messages to random people in your leads list or whatever, and you think you're doing the right thing because you have done sales follow-up, absolutely, but you haven't progressed in your sales flow or your sales process with certain customers because you didn't spend time with them. So if you want to make sure that you can do a lot of these things, like do double the things in half the time in those time blocks, then you need to be strategic how you use that time. And I always use the example of sales follow-up because that's the easiest to explain. If you have a list of 100 leads that you need to follow up with,
Right.
which ones are you going to follow up with first? Right? And
Yeah.
you need to think about that. And if you know that, if you have a strategy around that, then you're using your time strategically. Right?
Yeah. I get LinkedIn messages, or I can tell they're cut and paste messages, and they don't look at my profile before, but they're following up with something we talked about in the past.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at my profile, seeing what I'm posting online, and then engaging me with that, they're just cutting and pasting a follow-up message that's very generic.
Yeah, and then they are doing sales follow-up.
And their boss is happy because they sent 100 messages yesterday.
Yeah, and look, I've spent some time on this, so I did it. Yeah, but it hasn't had any impact at all.
Yeah.
So the thing that you do within your time needs to be strategic. It needs to be aligned with the goals that you set forward. If you do not do that, you will do all the wrong things or all the things that you like to do and nothing that you should be doing.
Yeah.
So in the end, you will be busy again and you've done a lot of things, but nothing that moves the needle.
Yeah.
Another thing that I talk about then is making sure that you can keep your energy and that you perform the high energy tasks at your best time, which means if you're high on energy in the morning, that you would prefer to put there or you plan the tasks that take a lot of energy from you. For me, that's bookkeeping, for example. I hate that. Or administration, So I do that in the morning. So I'm still energetic. I still can do it, even though it takes a lot of energy from me. But if you plan that at a time that you're like late at the evening and you don't have any energy anymore, well, I'm pretty sure you will find every excuse to not do it anymore. So that's also being strategic about those things. And talking about energy, to make sure, this one, to make sure that you can keep your energy, what I do is I add non-negotiables. Right?
Yeah.
And those are things like, I do that every day. Like I go for a run across noon because that is something I do because it gives me energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can use that energy to go further along the day, and I can work even longer if I wanted to because I still have that energy. And that's a non-negotiable. So nobody needs to come to me and say, "Hey, Stefan, we're gonna set up a meeting at noon." I'm gonna say no.
Right.
I'm gonna say no because that's non-negotiable. No, this is time for me. I'm going for a run. I need that energy. And also, like in the morning, doing yoga, or in the evening, going for a walk or a workout or whatever it is. It needs to be something that is off time, that is not work, and that gives you energy. So find something that gives you energy. Add it to your calendar, right? And those are like little things that you can look forward to every day. And that keeps you going. That's like the micro goals that you set, rewards for your work. And it gives you energy so you can go on longer. And this will also help beating burnout.
Yeah.
Because if you set that during the day, you don't feel as exhausted at the end of the day. But also if you set that like, okay, on Sunday I will not work, or on a Saturday I will not work, or Friday morning I will not work, stuff like that. Or during a month, I'm going to go at least once a month on a city trip. Those are like things that you can set forward as non-negotiables, and you can look forward to that. So you can keep going. It doesn't feel like you're working nonstop for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
That is something we need to avoid. So that is also one of the things that I talk about a lot. And a lot of people think, yeah, that seems logical, but I cannot do that. You can. This is possible. You just need to say no sometimes to other things so you can keep your energy,
I'm doing a speed reading class with Jim Quick, and he says, read 30 minutes a day, but put it on your calendar so every day you will do that 30 minutes of reading. Otherwise, you won't do it. You'll find an excuse not to do it.
Yeah. Making it a habit. Yeah. So powerful. And start with something small. Don't put a habit of 1 hour each day. A new thing that you want to do, it's not going to happen. Start with 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Then do 10 minutes, then do 20 minutes, that will work for sure. If I go back to then a little exercise that everybody can do, is this is the time finder. I got this from Strategy Sprints. And this is an exercise where you can visualize your week. You can visualize actually your time. And this is so important to do because this creates the self-awareness for yourself to see, where are the things going wrong here? This is an example from my calendar like a couple of weeks ago. But here you can see that I start planning the time from the moment that I wake up until the moment I go to sleep. And everything is in there. So time management is not only work, it's everything. It's also hobby. It's also sleeping even. It's family. It's everything. And you need to visualize it so you know where to adjust and where you can create blocks of time again. You can see here the follow-up. Every day at 9 a.m. I do follow-up. And because it's in there, it's a habit. It's easy for me to say, okay, but that time, sorry, I will not plan any events or not any meetings because that's my time to follow up.
Yeah.
And block that time in your calendar, please. Because if you do not put all of this, and I mean really all of this in your calendar, then other people will start putting meetings in there and it will just create a mess in your time management.
Yeah. definitely.
This is a good exercise to do. If you do this, doesn't require a lot, just a Google Sheet or whatever. Put some colors, create some categories, whatever you want, and put it in there, right? And
that's floss one tooth a day for your micro habits.
Yeah, exactly. And this is powerful. This is powerful. You don't need, like, do this, and your team should do this as well. Everybody in your team. And then you make it visual for everybody. You need to communicate this. You need to make it visual. So, color-coded spreadsheet.
When my son-in-law was planning their wedding, he actually had a spreadsheet like this.
Yeah.
Detailed everything, and he had sleep on his daily tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be in there because that is part of your day. That is part of the time that you spend, right? Like you see here on Wednesday, I have a great block until 8 a.m. That means that's time that I sleep. So it's not about doing the same thing every single day, having the same schedule. It's about allowing time to shift as well, so you can regenerate sometimes, or you can sleep a little bit longer. That's allowed, and people, you're not a robot. Again, you're not a robot. You're human beings. And even if you set this forward and you cannot follow it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Try again next time. Try again until it becomes a habit that you're self-aware about the time, that you can actually create your own better time management. What else can I say? Yeah, identify what you're spending your time on. Does it align with your goals? Make sure to delegate, systemize, or remove things from your time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about last week, okay, let's identify what did we do last week, and you put that in a Google Sheet, a color-coded Google Sheet. You will be amazed sometimes how much time you have wasted, or you do not even know what you did in that amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. That happens sometimes. There's an hour gone, and you think, wait a second, what did I just do this hour? Maybe you were on Facebook, or you had a call or whatever. You don't even know. So that can become a problem if you're not aware about that. So
that's where those 30 tabs on my browser get me distracted. And then I say, what did I just do the last hour?
Exactly. Yeah. And if you want to fix that, a great exercise again is just having a notepad next to you.
Yeah.
And for every half an hour, you just write down what you just did. Just write down. Half an hour has passed. What did you do?
That's a great tip.
And if you do that for a whole day, for a whole week, then you can see what actually happened. And this is also a great exercise if you're getting off track, if you're getting distracted, to quickly come back, because you say, oh, wait a second, I just wasted half an hour. I need to do this because I put it in my calendar. So that's also something I got from Strategy Sprints, but it's great to do that exercise for sure.
It's like tracking all the food you eat during the day. If you're trying to lose weight, to write down everything. It's like, oh gosh, look what I ate. I shouldn't have eaten that.
Yeah, you would be amazed what you're doing during the day. If I did that, like, I was like, oh damn, a half an hour has passed and I haven't done anything. And I was supposed to do sales follow-up, but I was distracted by a notification from Facebook, and it quickly becomes half an hour. It's crazy how fast time goes sometimes. And this is an example of my calendar in Google. So I color code my calendar as well. And it seems overwhelming, but by color coding it becomes so easy for me that in just a second, I can see where are the most important meetings and where do I have still some space left. And that's also actually, honestly, your calendar should look like this, because every block of time that is not scheduled, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to do everything that you like and nothing that you should do.
Yeah.
So And I've had this before when I get to a Sunday evening and I procrastinated on planning the week, and there are a lot of blocks open on my calendar. I get anxious because you know that there's so much to do in your business, but if you're not planning it in those time blocks, what are you going to do, right? What is the choice? And the stress comes from the decisions that you need to make. And if you need to make the decisions when the time comes, you're going to do the thing that's fun, right? And that's not always the best thing to do. So even though this looks like hell for some people with OCD, maybe, but for me, this works, right? I've seen other people where everything is the same color. Now that's even worse, because how do you even know where are the important things, right? And I put my habits in here as well. As you can see, morning walk, yoga, meditation, it's in the calendar as a habit. And there's a tool for that. I forgot the name, but I can put it in the comments later. But there's a tool for that automatically helps you shift a little bit your habits in your calendar. But this is how it looks like for me. This is an example of the times of overlap. So I talked about this earlier. If you have a team and you want to make it efficient for everybody to spend their time, then try to find those hours of overlap so you can schedule the meetings with your team in the hours of overlap. So it also becomes then for the team easier to do, and it's not a frustration anymore, and they can work within their own time. It fits in their schedule and so on and so on. So that's also a good tip to do.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, and time is a big topic, and we have to use it decently if we want to move forward. So, and that's like most of the core principles that I use. I have more of this information in a course that I created around this, where I explain it more deeper what I do and the tools that I use for this. But these things are the most important for me. Yeah. And if I implement these things, for me, this works. This works.
Great. We don't have time to learn time management.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the color coding. I know Beth likes those color-coded spreadsheets.
Yeah, it's amazing, and visualization is important for me. Your time, your processes, everything that you do, make it visual, and it becomes so much easier to understand, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of blocking things out. That speed reading course made me think, okay, I've got to block out my meditation, my Peloton rides.
Yeah.
My lunch. I got to put in an hour for lunch because I don't have that in there. So a lot of times I work through lunch.
Yeah, and people put meetings in there while you should have lunch,
Yeah.
And just breaking up your day is also important to keep your energy going, to keep the productivity going. And another thing that I will say is you don't need to work more than, let's say, 10 hours a day to make an impact. Mm-hmm. Some days I work 6 hours, maybe 4 hours, maybe some days I work 16 hours. But the impact comes by doing the right tasks. And if some tasks only take 4 hours to do, and that's what you have planned, then so be it. Have the patience to build it out. Because if you chase every single minute, you will get burned out.
Yeah.
So fast. And it's just not enjoyable. And we're in this thing where we're building our business. Why? Because we want to have fun. We want to have a life of freedom. So if we're working 80 hours, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
I know people will say, yeah, but then you can get rich in maybe 3 or 6 months or 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, but at what cost? So I'm not how do you say? I will not sacrifice everything for having success earlier. No way.
One thing I learned when I learned the Scrum and the Kanban, you have your to-do list. You have like 100 things you could be doing, but if you just focus on, here's 3 things I'm going to accomplish today, then it's like you're focused there. And then when you're done and you put it in the done column, you're like, so you feel relieved and feel good.
Yeah, and that's a big thing about Scrum indeed, is making it visual and seeing your work move.
Yeah.
And this is important indeed, also for a team, because if your team sees that their work is having an impact on the project, that gives them more motivation to keep going, or to go faster, or to do more in the same time.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say about the Scrum principles for teams, but yeah, it comes from that for sure. Yeah.
Great. It's been great tips here. So how can people learn more about your course?
Well, they can look for Titanology on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere. I'm almost everywhere. And we have titanology.world/time-management. That's a time management course. I can also share it in the comments. But yeah, search for Titanology and will find me. If you need more information about this, just reach out to me and I will be happy to help you move forward. And even get on a call with you to explain more of these principles. I'm happy to do that as well. So
squeeze in some time on your calendar there, that color-coded calendar.
And another great tip, every meeting that you set should be through a Calendly or whatever tool you use. Do it automatically, right? So you don't waste time back and forward to look for a good time. Don't do that. That's a waste of time. So I always use my Calendly link. So you can book a time with me through my Calendly link. And if the time is free, then you will be able to book it. So
great. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. And Beth said it was great. Phenomenal nuggets. So
cool. Thank you, Beth.
And we'll see you on social media.
Yes.
Thanks again.
Thank you a lot, Ted. Thank you.